Welcome to the Indiana Basketball Postgame Show, live from Hoosier Hanks East. Now, here's your hosts, Todd, Leary, and Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of After the Game with Todd, Leary, Indiana Basketball Postgame Show, coming to you from Hoosier Hanks East over off of College Ball Road here in Bloomington. And, man, that was not the ending I expected, Todd Leary.
Nope. To quote the famous movie Dumb and Dumber, just when I think you can't get any worse, you totally redeem yourself.
Oh, my God.
That was a game that, I don't know. I don't really know what to say other than obviously Malik Renew and Trey Galloway were gigantic in making the comeback. The huge shots by Anthony Leal we'll talk about. But man, Indiana didn't really do anything well. They didn't rebound very well. They didn't shoot very well. They didn't do anything really well. The only thing they did good was schedule Ohio State because they're not very good either. No,
they hung around.
Yep.
The first half of this game was brutal. It was like getting ice picks in your eyes.
Yeah, it was bad. When they're down 18, early in that second half, I did not see any possibility of a comeback. I just didn't. And they made a couple of threes. Obviously, Galloway made 3 threes there in the second half, and the big one by Leal at the end gives them I think 5 for the game. But man, Ohio State's really got to be looking at themselves, questioning. This is one where they've got to question everything right now. I think they felt like they outplayed Indiana in every category in this game. They just couldn't score the ball in the end. And I really like the consideration they were giving to Anthony Leal and his defense, because what he did against Roddy Gale and a couple of those drives in the last couple of minutes when he bodied him up coming into the lane without fouling, those were big-time plays. And he's going to get a ton of credit for making the free throws and making that big three-point shot. But his defense on Roddy Gale, late in that second half was I think, really what gave Indiana the opportunity to get the lead.
Yeah, the sheer fact that they stuck around in the second half.
They didn't, though. They were down 18.
Well, I know, but I meant that when you're down 18,
I know.
usually the team.
You got Ware on the bench. Nothing is in your favor at that point.
Nada. And you're on the road, and if there's ever a time to pack it in, that was it. It's like, go warm the bus up. It's time to just leave. And, man, they kept slowly chipping away at it. And next thing you know, I'm like, what? It's a 9-point game. And then it's closer and closer. And you got to take your hat off to Trey Galloway tonight and Malik Renew. 25 points for Trey Galloway. He 3 of 4 from behind the arc, 9 of 15 overall, 4 of 4 at the free throw line. Malik Renew, 8 of 15, 26 and 14 on the night. 10 of 15 at the free throw line. He has got to shore that up. We'll talk more about that. Ohio State, man, they hit every free throw they took almost tonight, where Indiana left a lot of points on the table. Unfortunately, like you said, this was a team that is not – they're going to be battling for worse in the Big Ten by the end of the season, and I'm talking about Ohio State. And, boy, that's one that Ohio State's going to say, boy, we lost one. And Chris Holtmann, he's kind of – his butt's getting a little warm as it is. That's the kind of game that turns the temperature up a little bit.
Well, we know exactly how – Ohio State feels, because that's exactly how Indiana had to feel out of the Penn State game, losing at home like they did to Penn State. And the only real difference is I think we can look at what Penn State did. They made a bunch of three-pointers. They made a bunch of tough shots. Indiana didn't really do that. They made a couple right at the end, but only 5 three-pointers for the entire game. 5 makes. That's not something you're going to look at and say that was a key factor in Indiana's comeback. But I sat here for this entire basketball game at Hoosier Hanks, frustrated because I was going to have to sit here and talk about how miserable we are at this point in the season. And I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to be able to sit here and talk about a win. I don't want to jump all the way ahead. They got a tough battle this weekend. This is one you'd love to be able to play maybe Penn State after you get a win like this, but now you got to go battle the Giant this weekend, and that'll be a tough one. But hey, they got to have as much confidence as they could possibly have, because Khalil Ware goes to the bench. You're down 18 in the second half. He goes to the bench with 4 fouls, and somehow you figure out a way to win.
Welcome back, or welcome in, like I said, everybody, to Hoosier Hanks Live over here off of College Mall Road for After the Game with Todd Leary. That's Todd Leary, of course. You recognize him from his years as one of the great players at IU. I'm Jim Coyle. And, man, those guys, Khalil Ware was so frustrated tonight. Malik Renew got frustrated. He had a technical. There was a cheap flagrant called early on Sparks, which was just, 5 years ago. Yeah. That's not a call.
Unfortunately, that's the rule, and it's a rule that needs to be looked at and changed, because they say that's not a basketball play, but that is a basketball play. I mean, I've got scars on my eyes and nose and everything from years of that's just something that happens, and that's a reaction that you have when someone's grabbing a hold of your arms, and that's just the way that it is. But that's an unfortunate flagrant foul for him in that circumstance. But I'm sitting here not like looking down, not paying attention. I'm trying to find a stat that really, other than maybe rebounding. Indiana out rebounded Ohio State, which after getting pounded on the boards against Ohio State at Assembly Hall, that's obviously a great comeback. But I can't really come up with anything. Indiana shoots less than 50%. They don't anywhere near 50% from the 3-point line. They shoot 66% from the free throw line.
While Ohio State was blistering
24 for 27. Yeah, it's timely baskets and making plays when you had to. And we've definitely jumped on the side of being on Indiana's back when they don't make plays when they had opportunities to. And so now we've got to go ahead and give them the credit, because they did make the plays when they had to, like the timely baskets and timely stops in that second half. I did not see this happening. I don't know what gave them the spark in their own mind, but I didn't see this happening for Indiana after being down 18 in the second half.
No, I mentioned Trey Galloway had 25 points on 9 of 5 shooting, 3 of 4 behind the arc, 4 at the stripe, but he also had 6 boards and 4 assists. That's as solid as a stat line as you could ever want to get from Trey Galloway.
Yeah, and only 2 turnovers. He's coming off of a game, where he didn't play all that well. The Iowa game especially, he was turnover prone. So as much as he had the ball in his hands, to only have 2 turnovers tonight, Indiana went back to, if you noticed offensively, especially with Ware on the bench, Indiana went back to that play of the dribble handoff for Trey Galloway coming down the middle of the lane. That was what was successful for him pre-Big Ten season. That was the offense that really Indiana relied on, and it worked here again tonight. Like, Indiana went back to it, and for whatever reason, Ohio State never really figured it out. They didn't figure out a way to not allow Trey to keep dribbling to his right. Trey's not near as good on that play when you make him go to his left, and Indiana's smart enough to run that play on the left-hand side of the floor, so he's coming down the middle of the lane. Time after time, I think Indiana ran that play every single possession from about the 14-minute mark on. They ran that play. If it wasn't a transition basket or opportunity, they ran that play every time down the floor, and thankfully Ohio State never really figured out how to stop it.
And speaking of transition, 10-2 on fast break points for Indiana. That's not something we usually see from them, that they lead that category. Also, though, in the first half, it's not that they had a ton of turnovers. It was 8-5, but Ohio State scored on every single turnover. 16 points off of turnovers in the first half to 2 for Indiana. But at the end of the game, Indiana kicks that up to 12 points, while Ohio State had a 22, both with 11 turnovers. So they held on to the ball a little bit better and was able to turn Ohio State over. Ohio State they just never it's like they were resting on their laurels. And
I think they let their guard down a little bit when they were up 18. This is not a team that's up 18 in the Big Ten very often. So I think that they relaxed maybe a little bit, and then once things started snowballing and getting out of control, and Indiana had momentum and felt good offensively, they couldn't get any stops, and that's credit to Indiana. I don't think we can say enough about the play. I know Anthony Leal made a huge play in making the three-pointer, but the play of him getting the rebound after Khalil Ware had his leg hyperextend or whatever happened, and that ball comes off.
Ooh, that was scary.
To still come up with that rebound was a big deal. Like that was a major hustle play. You go back and look at that. He had to basically tap that ball away from Roddy Gale, come up with it, stay in bounds, and get fouled. And that was, at that point, if we just missed that layup, if they get the ball, they're coming back down with 10 seconds to go in the game, only down by 1 because we weren't able to convert on that. So that was a gigantic play. Leo made some really big plays. I mentioned his defense a bunch, but he made two obviously the three-pointer and then the 2 free throws at the ends were gigantic plays, obviously, for Anthony.
And if I would have told you that 3 of Indiana's starters would go 7 for 22, 25, 7 for 25, and score a grand total of 17 points. There is no way that Indiana wins this game in a normal circumstance, but they get these big-time performances from Renew and Galloway tonight that made up for this, for those guys. But, man, Indiana did not get much of anything out of Ware, who he missed a ton of time in the first half because of foul trouble, but ends the game with only 6 points and 1 rebound, which is
and
crazy.
Indiana out-rebounded Ohio State, and still the tallest guy that we have, he could never get his hands on one. I bet he tipped minimum of 10 rebounds. I bet he had his hand on 10 rebounds and just never was able to come up with it.
Galloway and Leo had 12 between the two of them. So that's something else. Indiana has not gotten rebounding from the guards this year. Tonight they do, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, when you're not giving those second chance opportunities, and I think Robbie Hummel said it a million times in the game, Indiana gave up 22 offensive rebounds to this Ohio State team just a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, that needed to be a focal point, and it was. You've got to look at that as a major reason why Indiana's able to come out on top of this one, because looking at the stats, there's not, other than Ohio State's not very good either, there's not a whole lot you can point to as to how Indiana was able to come away with the victory. And even just looking at the stats, if you said one of those teams was down by 18 or 19 points at one point in the second half, you would have said there's no way there's enough good stats on there to be able to come back and win. It's not like somebody went crazy making 7 3-pointers in a row or anything. It's just that's a good all-around effort. There's going to be that's got to be a momentum builder. Like I said, the tough part is now you go to Purdue on Saturday and you got to battle that giant on the road. But hopefully this is a momentum builder and they can find something to build to go in there with a ton of confidence, I guess.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to look through some of these comments. Robert Truth says they won that game ball, Ed. Give the team credit for finding a way to win after Penn State debacle. John, Ohio State is just god-awful.
They're not very good.
No, you're not lying. No stranger here. Carolyn Leary says Galloway, Renew, and Leal brought the hustle in the second half, which again, that's hard to do, man. When you're on the road,
when you're down like that, there's nothing harder to do than turn momentum in a game, especially when you're on the road. You're in their arena. Other than I noticed it early in the game. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but the stands were not very full. I know they talked about it being a whiteout, but I saw a lot of white T-shirts hanging over seats still in the second half. I don't think they had a great crowd there, so it's just one of the hard things to do. It obviously, I think looking at it, having Renew and Leal being kind of the more stable, even though he did get a technical foul tonight with Renew, they're kind of the more stable, level-headed guys on the team. having them be the ones that step forward when you're down by that much is probably not that much of a surprise. But it sure is good to see. Like this could have been just an awful broadcast. This could have been, miserable for all of us to sit here. It was pretty miserable to watch for 30 minutes.
And just so we know that the sound is not the greatest again tonight, but that's because the laptop that I misplaced has been found. I do not have it back in my possession yet, but it is coming to me from the Orlando airport at some point. So let's go UPS. Can't wait. So next time, hopefully, back on good, solid sound. Almost said on solid ground. Indiana needed this win. This is not going to save their season, but for them to have a chance at going to the NIT, and that's right, I'm not talking about anything. I'm not going to pretend to blow smoke up your skirts and pretend that they got a shot at the NCAA. They don't. But they do have a chance to go to the NIT, but that's going to take a ton of work. They got to win games. You have to have a winning record to make it to the NIT.
Yeah, I'm not gonna agree with that quite yet. Like I don't think that they're getting this win. I think does save the hope of possibly making the tournament. It would take some big time efforts. It would take some big time wins. And I understand. Like I'm also realistic. I don't think it's likely, but I'm also not writing them off saying that they don't have a chance, because this team has the capability to play well. They have not been playing well.
Oh, Lord. I'm just playing.
Yeah, they have not been playing well, but they have the capability. They've got to play better than they played tonight. Also, like I'm still not gonna lay off of the fact that this team's going to have to make shots. They're going to have to shoot better on a consistent basis. They're going to have to figure out a way to make, 8. I think their numbers got to be 8 3-pointers and 75% from the free throw line should be their goal going into a game. If they can do that, I think they've got a chance. Heck, if they would have just shot the 75% from the free throw line tonight, this wouldn't have been a game. But overall, I mean, they're. I'm not writing them off yet, but I'm also realistic, and I understand why you would say what you said, but I'm not quite there yet.
John says the chemistry was much better with Leal out there tonight. Well, he was certainly busting his ass. There's no doubt, and he knew he had to. They didn't have a choice. He had to be the guy. Gabe Cups again. Well, I'm sure he's trying. He doesn't get anything done. He had 2 points on the night. And in games like this, man, you got to have production from guys.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of production from Anthony either. I want to give Coach Woodson and the assistant coaches credit for sticking with Anthony Leal, because he didn't play that great. He had a couple of turnovers. Defensively, he had a bad foul at one point. He didn't shoot the ball well. Like he didn't have anything really going. He was 1 for 4 from the free throw line to start the game. And so they stuck with it. Like, they kept him in there. His defense, I know that's probably been the knock on him for years, but his solid defense, not doing anything bad, just keeping good position and using his strength in his body to keep Roddy Gale from being able to get his shot off there in the last couple of minutes when he drove in the lane. Like that those are huge plays that don't show up in any stat sheet. But I give the coaching staff credit for keeping him in there, because Anthony didn't play well. And he'd be the first one to tell you, like, Anthony didn't play well in the first half and for the majority of the second half. And, they stuck with him, and he made gigantic plays at the end. And I think the coaching staff deserves credit for that, because I'm not sure I would have stuck with it. He had played pretty bad up to that point.
Robert, we thank you, sir. Appreciate you very much.
Couldn't get through. Yeah, thank you, Robert.
And
we're all getting ourselves through this thing, because it's not fun so far.
Jordan asked, was that Indiana's first Quad 1 win of this year? Hold on, don't get excited. No, Quad 1, you have to be top 50 on the road.
On the road, are they not top 50? Probably not.
No, that was a Quad
2,
maybe. I cannot remember where Ohio State is in Ken Palm right now, I really can't remember, but I can't imagine they're higher than Indiana, and they're 99th.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure
But
about that.
it is
I know it's
not a quad one win. No.
Yeah.
So don't get – there he goes. But let's see. Fred says attendance in Columbus and Maryland was not good tonight. Well, both of those home teams take an L, too. Surprising because Maryland, that's one of the places where they have been almost unbeatable. Is at home,
yeah,
but they
don't draw a great crowd a lot of times. Like I know they do for their big games, but there's a lot of games I see a lot of empty seats in Maryland, and I see the same thing at Ohio State. That's it's a football school. Like they're not trying to kid anybody. It's a football school. Now they expect more out of their basketball team than what they're getting, but they're a football school and they're not kidding anybody.
Cheryl Sizemore, how are you? Hope you're having a great night. We appreciate you being around with us. Let's see. John says start Leo and bring Gabe off the bench. No, probably not. And I'm sure you're going to agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, just because a guy plays well, I've never been a proponent of saying throw him into the starting lineup. Like he's playing well coming off the bench. You need some bench production also. I think
he's not a primary ball.
And I think the key is to get Gabe playing better. The key is not to bring Gabe in off the bench. Then we're really got no production coming in. The key, I think, is to get Gabe more engaged into the game and get him being more aggressive offensively. I don't think the coaches will tell him this. I don't have a reason to think that other than I just don't think they will. But I mean, he needs to shoot more. He needs to drive more. He needs to penetrate, be inside the lane. All he is a ball facilitator right now, getting it around the outside of the perimeter, and that's not cutting. And so somebody needs to get to him and tell him he's capable. You saw his one basket tonight. It was a drive right down the middle of the lane that he laid in. I'm not sure why he doesn't try that 10 times a game.
Tony says if they had lost, he would not be listening. Shame on you. Shame on you. Always listen to the Todd family.
Hey, Tony, I don't blame you because I'm not sure what I would have said or talked about because I truly, for 35 minutes of this game, was sitting here trying to figure out what to say to not just throw the season in the tank because, it was bad. Like it was not only was Indiana bad, like it was a bad basketball. The guys in the halftime show talked about how lackadaisical Indiana looked defensively. Like they were right. Like I was embarrassed by Indiana's effort in the first half, and you heard Cornette on there at halftime talking about he can't believe that's the effort Indiana was giving after that Penn State loss, and we totally agreed with him. Like I'm glad somebody else said it that's totally non-biased. They're not a Purdue guy, they're not an Indiana guy, they're totally non-biased, and he's calling Indiana out, and I think he was right. Luckily, Indiana, figured out a way to make plays in the second half and win.
Scott is saying that was a quad one win somehow. I need confirmation on that because I cannot imagine that Ohio State is in the top 75, which they would have to be, I think, for a quad. Hell, that's a. Oh, I get confused.
I'm looking it up.
I think it's a top 50.
It says it here. I read it the other day.
Road win, 75. I can't keep it all straight. I'm just shocked that Ohio State is a quad.
What are quad?
It's a road game, so you got that.
What is quad one win? It's a road win against the net top 75.
Oh, there you go. Is Ohio State? I just would not have thought they were in the top 75, but somebody find out what they're ranked. We don't have enough.
We don't have the
enough equipment here tonight. We've got too many things going on as it is. Don't forget, coming to you from Hoosier Hanks East, located over off of College Mall Road here in Bloomington. You can see all the great posters behind us. Tons of great posters here and about. And a great place to watch the Indiana game as we were able to do that this evening, or any game for that matter. Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. For God's sakes, almost forgot about. Let's see. Brian says that first half was the most lackadaisical thing he's seen in a while. Yeah, but they did come back, and I think they probably had a little butt chewing at the half. I would imagine that Woody got into them some because they did play with more fire in the second half, and that's hard to get a team to do when they played the first half like that they did, and being down on the road like that. So very, very surprising. Justin says, at this point, I don't see why someone cares if they make the tourney. They aren't good enough to get past the first week. Who cares?
Yeah. Ohio State's a net 67. So that is a quad one.
Wow, there you go. Right there. Just looked it up. 67-68. I cannot believe that.
Well, they had wins over West Virginia and UCLA, which I know both are not very good teams, but
they're like 3-7 in the Big Ten now. 8. Crazy.
Yeah. But hey, we'll take it. We'll take it. Hey, road wins. Hey, this is what almost every coach says. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter how you get it. Like I know that you can't really believe in that. You can't get wins by believing that. But once you get a win in something like this, like they've got to get on the plane, fly home, and feel great about themselves for the next couple of days. Try to feel great. Try to have momentum. I mean, what else can you do going into Purdue? Like you're going into battle, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country on their home court, which everyone will tell you is, along with Assembly Hall, one of the most difficult places to play. It's the loudest place I ever played. Allen Fieldhouse possibly might have been comparable. But Kansas and Purdue were the 2 loudest places. Obviously, Assembly Hall is my favorite place. But Mackey Arena is the loudest gym in the Big Ten. Every person will tell you that. Every player will tell you that.
It's perfectly set up.
Well, if you go in there at shoot around and there's no one in the arena and you dribble the ball, it pings off the roof the whole time. So every time you dribble, there's a ping, ping. So the echo of everything when you get all those people in there is insane, and it makes it acoustically, it is perfect for a basketball arena.
And when you're playing as well as Purdue has played for the last several years, their fans are on par, man.
They're great.
Brian says he loves that Todd hits the nail on the head about the team. That's what he does, man. He knows his stuff. And that is why he has myjumpshot.com. For those of you who know somebody who needs to or wants to get better, take their game up a notch, go to myjumpshot.com, and you can get the tutelage you need from one Todd Leary. Let's see. Looking for any other. Pete says Frankfurt had the second location for all childhood long ago. I don't know what that is. What are we talking about? People talking about pizza here. And,
hey, Hoosier Hanks has the best thin crust pizza. I'll put that up against anybody right now.
That's a fact.
I'm a pizza nut, so I'm gonna tell you, I've had it about everywhere.
And I'm telling you, you got to ask for the Jimbo special.
You don't have to ask.
It's the best topping.
You don't have to.
He is not. It's pepperoni, sausage, mushroom, onions, banana peppers. Ooh. And it's this garlic butter crust. It's the best thin crust that I've ever had. He's not a banana pepper guy.
Pepperoni and sausage, and we're out the door. You're good. You're good right there.
You can't go wrong with the basic, man.
Nope.
Can't go wrong with the basic.
Nope.
No doubt about that. Robert.
Hey, you know what? We might have to come up with a Lille deal here at this place too. Mother Bears. I ordered a Mother Bears Lille deal last week and didn't even eat it. I just ordered it and paid for it just so Lille got a credit for that thing.
You don't need any damn money. He's selling houses, man.
I don't care. I'm giving Mother Bears the credit. I want them to have the credit.
Well, we got to do that here at Hoosier Hanks.
Hoosier Hanks supports everybody. Hoosier Hanks they're involved in the community.
Ed says CJ Gunn didn't do anything, and what's going on with Banks? Well, he didn't. Did CJ play?
CJ Gunn played a little bit, but let's why are we trying to pile on? Like those guys are struggling. There's no doubt about it. Peyton Sparks struggling. Like there's we've got guys that need to make some improvements and get some momentum and confidence, and they're definitely in that category. I'm with you. They didn't play well. They haven't played well in a while. Walker didn't play well. He didn't get a lot of a time to prove anything. Like, his time has dwindled quite a bit, but he's not played well. Like, I get it. There's a bunch of guys that are struggling. Let's focus while we can. Let's focus on a road victory. We might not have too many more of them.
The sheer fact that Indiana gets a quad one this year, buddy, I'm glad nobody offered to bet me today.
So let me ask you a question, and I truly don't know this answer. So if it's a road win that's a top 75 team, if they fall out of the top 75 later in the year, does it not become a quad one?
Yeah.
So then it's not a quad one. So we need to root for them to keep winning,
which is not going to be easy to do.
Okay.
So
does this knock them out of the top 75?
That's a good question. It depends on how close they are. What did they say? They're 67? Nah, you're not going to generally fall that far, I don't think. Yeah. But it might be close.
You lose to a 99.
You lose to a bad team who does not even have.
I don't know. I didn't know the answer.
Whose own home court is quad 3?
Let's just root for them to win.
Yeah,
let's just root for Ohio State to win from now on.
There you
Iowa,
go.
How's Iowa? I guess they're not a top 50. They'd have to be a top 50 because we beat them at home.
Mark says he knew they had it all the way.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, okay, Mark.
You've got the better's luck, man. And Ray has the right attitude. It says a win's a win. I'm having trouble getting some of these comments up.
You read them off. You're good.
Ray, yeah, a win is a win. The truth says, Jim, that little point guard for Indiana, number 2, he's going to be a superstar. You better hit him now. He's tough. He is tough. He plays tough, and he's going through growing pains, but he is doing it out on the court, which it's not easy to do as a freshman in the Big Ten. And you had a lot more support around you than he does. So I can imagine how difficult that is for someone in his position to unexpectedly be handed the keys to, well, I'm not going to call it a Ferrari, more like a Ford pickup truck right now, but and say, you got to drive this thing, man.
Yeah, and I mean, look, he is a freshman that that's on a team that's struggling offensively. So it's not like he's you're exactly right. He's not driving a Ferrari here. These guys are struggling offensively. A bunch of them are, and he's not helping the situation. I think he's got to take a little bit more upon himself, be a little bit more creative, try to create some more stuff. I think they don't run that stuff. I can guarantee you this. Indiana did not go into this season expecting their offense to be Trey Galloway coming off of ball screens, driving down the middle of the lane. And that's the only offensive play we ran the entire second half. So we're adjusting with what's working. And so right now, if Gabe Cupps can prove that he can drive and penetrate and kick and score and do some things, no one's going to stop him. Like we'll adjust our offense to make that happen more often. But we're not going to all of a sudden put him in a position where we're going to try to make him go out and do that. The coaches are not going to run plays for him to go do that. He's got to go prove that he can do it, and then we'll set the offense up around that.
Our good friend Cheryl Sizemore says she'll sell you a house. Leo's busy right now, so absolutely
making threes and free throws.
Exactly. And Robert says he loves his Hoosiers, but he can't have faith in that team right now. Well, they did it tonight, but Brad asked, can Todd give a session of myjumpshot.com to the Hoosiers maybe after the season?
I would love to. Trust me. I've offered it up for free. Trust me. They don't have a lot of interest in it. Remember, they say they don't need to make 3-pointers.
Not in the budget.
Not about 3-pointers.
I like what Michael's got to say. Smash that like button. We really appreciate you guys if you do that. Thank you so much for being with us. And yeah, hit that, actually the like button, hit the subscribe button. That's what we'd love for you to do. Make sure you don't miss an episode of Indiana Sports Beat Radio 5 days a week. And then, of course, after each Indiana basketball game, after the game with Todd Leary, We greatly appreciate that, all of you, as always, being with us. We're coming to you from Hanks, Hoosier Hanks East, over here off of College Ball Road and here in Bloomington, and a fun place always to eat. Man, I just was sitting there miserable, and then all of a sudden, it was just one of the weirdest turnarounds.
It was because there wasn't anything that sparked it.
Nothing
initially. Like there were some big shots Trey Galloway made, a couple of those 3-pointers at the end. But when Indiana cut it to 4 and had the basketball, and they took the Khalil Ware, mid-range jump shot, and it barely drew iron. They didn't score, and they came down. I think it might have even been a 2-point game at that point. And they came down, and Roddy Gale got 2 free throws, and it pushed it back to 4. I thought at that point that was as close as we were going to get. And boy, I'm glad I'm wrong. But to turn it around at that point, I said it after the Penn State game. One of the hardest things to do is stop the momentum when the other team has it. And whether you're home or away doesn't really matter. Once a team has momentum, it's very hard to take that away from them. And Indiana was able to do it tonight. They weren't able to do it to Penn State. Once Penn State got on a roll, they couldn't turn it around. And tonight they did. And down 18, I can't think of a harder scenario for there to be to have to turn it around. And they were able to do it. So we've got to give some credit to that. We've got to, enjoy this road victory. And I'm going to say it right now. I don't expect to win on Saturday. I don't need them to win on Saturday. I need them to be competitive. I need to show me that they can play with a team like Purdue. I don't want it to be a 20-point game, throughout the game. I don't want Purdue to just gradually keep pulling away, farther and farther away. I want Indiana to show they can fight and play with a team like that. I don't expect them to win. That's a major win. And I don't expect them to win. I don't need them to win in order to still feel confident in the rest of the season. But I need them to show some fight, and they showed fight tonight. So I'll enjoy that for the next couple of days, and then hopefully, they get a good effort on Saturday up in West Lafayette.
The truth asking about number 12. Who's 12? Is that the Ja'Kai Newton?
I'm not sure.
Because I can't think of a 12, so I'm going to have to guess. Dabney says, Ware should have dominated OSU. He had 6 points and 1 rebound. Well, the being out with foul troubles in the first half really seemed to handcuff him for getting into any kind of a flow. Then he seemed like he got pissed off. He wasn't comfortable, but he was still affecting the game.
Who are we talking about?
Khalil Ware.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fouls got him in a weird situation, and then it took him out of the game, obviously, in that first half. And then coming in the second half, he got a bad foul. His 4th foul was a bad one like that. It was a good call, bad foul. He should have never grabbed a hold of that guy. That's always a foul. It would have been pass interference in football. He took himself or put himself in some bad positions. And Tony, we will beat Purdue Saturday as long as Ware plays. Yeah,
not
I
sure
hope you're
about
right.
that.
I hope you're right. But Khalil will play better. I think I'm not alarmed by him at all. I hope his leg's fine, although he was coming back in at the end of the game, so it appears that it was. That's just one of those. It looked ugly, like it like it hyperextended or did something bad.
It's like it started to, but didn't complete.
I mean, I've seen ones where guys tore their ACL and it didn't look near that bad. So I'm not trying to make it worse than it is, but
Michael Penix
just
running out of bounds.
It looked bad. It didn't look great.
But and talk about his toughness. He was just lambasted for not having a motor, not being tough last year. He has done nothing but battle through injuries, play when Renew was hurt. Tonight, he has more than shown that he will battle, he will play, he'll do what it takes to get the job done.
Well, and I'll tell you, that block that he had, that with a minute to go in the game, that they gave them the 2 points that tied it up at 71, that was not a goaltend. And I understand the rule. I like the fact that they called it because then they can review it. But then I guess that works against you because then it has
can't
to
overturn
be
it,
you
yeah.
can't overturn it unless it's obvious. Like that part of it makes it harder to overturn. That was not a goaltend, in my opinion. Like that, it really wasn't even that close. And so that's one I kind of wish they hadn't have called to review it because it was too hard to overturn. I get why they didn't, but that's not a goaltend. That's a great block, and that's a terrific play. If that's not at the end of the game, I don't think there's any chance they call that. But yeah, overall, Ware's presence on the floor is gigantic. To be able to do what they did tonight without him for the majority of the game is even bigger.
And I talked about Ware and his toughness and what he's done, but how about Malik Renew? He didn't have Ware really the full support of him tonight, and he shows up big with that double-double. Again, 26 and 14 on the night. Left some points at the free throw line at 10 of 15. He could really help Indiana and himself if he would shore that up. But it's still such a great night for him statistically that you can't complain a lot about that. Trey Galloway also comes up huge. How big was that three-point shot that Leo hit?
Oh, gigantic. And great for, the two roommates, for Trey Galloway to kick that out to him, made a great drive. They ran the same play I said they ran earlier, him coming down the lane. For once, Ohio State came over and helped and did a good job of coming over to help, but left a three-point shooter wide open. Good for Indiana to have a three-point shooter in the corner over there, and great for Anthony to knock it down. Like he's definitely taken advantage of some opportunities that he's had here recently, and you got to give him a ton of credit for that.
Absolutely, Robert. We thank you for being subscribed, especially when you got former Hoosier greats on this show like Todd, who has some of the best insights on the team because he's a former Hoosier and knows the same things that the fans are seeing and talking about as well. He's not afraid to speak the truth and what's on his mind. And any Hoosier fans love that. Thanks, Todd. Absolutely.
Nice of you, Robert.
It's what he is the best at. Absolutely. Fred says the health of IU players has been difficult all year. Just have to have the next man step up and get over the hump. Please don't say that. Oh my God. I was mockingly saying that early in the game. And kind of.
It just seems to be a repetitive phrase used in the press conferences a lot.
Yeah, let's just pass on that one. Tess is glad they got the road win. Yeah, that's of gigantic importance. More importantly, that quad one. Not that it's again. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but
today it's quad one. We'll take it. It's
there you go. Not sure what it's going to do for him. Mike McDaniel. He likes the lineup that finished the game. Gallo, Leo, Mac, Renew, and Ware. Leo.
I agree. I love that lineup.
It's great to come in, and he hit the shot. It seems like Leo here of late has he's not shying away from the big moments.
Yeah, no, and I don't think
he's about big moments.
Yeah, I don't think he's afraid to take them. I think he's comfortable in that role. It's just I think he's working himself more into being comfortable. They need him to have a little bit more production. Like he needs to look to score a little bit more often. And I think a lot of times he gets a little stuck in running the play as opposed to maybe taking advantage of some opportunities that you have out there. But I like that lineup at the end also. I'm not saying that needs to be the starting lineup, but I like that lineup on the floor. I'm not afraid for that lineup to be on there at all. They've got some shooting. They've got some scoring. They got the two big guys in there. I don't hate the lineup at all. I don't want it to become the starting lineup. I don't want Leo to go in the starting lineup. I don't think it needs to go that way. I think fans get way more caught up in the starting lineup. It's like I've always said, I'd rather finish the game than start the game. And that's exactly what you're saying in this comment here. I agree with you. I like that we finished the game with that lineup. I don't need it to start the game.
Yeah, and plus, you did need someone who was willing to make plays at that time because scoring was at a premium, needed buckets, needed points, and Cups is not confident enough yet to do that. So having Anthony Leo or someone in there that does have that confidence, it's all the
look at it this way. Even with the game he was having, Malik Renew was having a fantastic game. He was confident in his game. And still, with under 2 minutes to go, we get a possession that comes around. We kick him the ball for a wide open three-pointer, and he doesn't take it. So it's not as easy as everyone acts like it is. So for Anthony to take that shot and make that shot, It takes a little extra guts, a little fortitude in there for you to step up and take that shot, especially a guy that's not in rhythm like Malik or like Trey Galloway. Trey Galloway made those 3-pointers tonight. He's shot the ball horribly the last 5 or 6 games. But he had a little rhythm. He had a little momentum going tonight. He had a little moxie in him. And you know, that's what we love to see. We want to see guys perform above their expectations, above what we expect of them, above what they expect of themselves. That's when sports becomes fun. That's when basketball is at its best. When guys are outperforming what you think they're capable of. And that happened tonight. I think we think that Anthony's capable of making those shots, but he hasn't really had the opportunity to do it. And he had the opportunity.
Thinks he's capable.
Sure he does. Of course, everyone on that bench thinks that.
Brian says the officiating was a little tight tonight. The good thing is I don't think it impacted the game.
It was both ways. It was ticky-tack both ways. I don't disagree at all. I mean, the amount of foul calls was it was a tough game to watch. And I kept commenting to you on it, how long this game was taking. If that game had gone to overtime, we would have been looking at a 3-hour game easily. And you know, the foul calls got a little bit crazy, but it was both ways. I mean, I don't think Indiana fans are going to feel like they got screwed. I don't think Ohio State fans will feel like they got screwed.
Tony says that Eric said it was a goaltend. Don's partner, which is Eric Sewer.
He's little. He's short. He's got a bad angle.
He's looking at the wrong way. He's looking up. He's looking up. John says it was a block. BE says it was 100% a block.
They showed it from so many different angles. Like that was not a goaltend. That was, even if it's at its apex and you still get it before it starts coming down, that's a good block. And I still think it was going up.
Let's talk about the 500. We'll have to pass on that one for right now. Let's see.
It's late. It's 10:15.
Yep.
Let's give these guys a break.
Man, the big one coming up Saturday. What time is that game?
I'm not sure.
2 p.m., noon.
That is an 8 p.m. game.
Oh, my God.
8 p.m. on Fox.
Oh, boy. They're really stretching it out. Last big game before the Super Bowl, the following day. So we'll be looking forward to that. Of course, tomorrow is Wednesday? Wednesday. I think that Steve Risley's on the program tomorrow. It's either tomorrow or Thursday.
Grumpy Steve?
Grumpy Steve.
Grumpy Uncle Steve.
Riz the Grizz. Former national champion.
Steve Risley at the Jordan YMCA when I was in about the 8th grade. I saw him.
What is the Jordan YMCA?
It's up in Indianapolis. It's the Jordan YMCA. And I saw him punch a guy straight in the face in a pickup game.
He's a big dude.
Oh, he laid the dude straight out.
Damn. Wow.
I love Riz, but I would never smart off to him.
Oh, he's a big guy. What is he, like 6'8"
He's
or 10?
gigantic. He looks a monster.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That was back when you could do that stuff, too, and get away with it. But, man, I cannot thank everybody else. And one more comment from Miss Leary. Maybe they can practice free throws before the Purdue game.
They can call myjumpshot.com. I'll help them out. Thanks, Mom.
I'm telling you, I've been trying to tell them that's what they need to do. And don't forget, myjumpshot.com for those of you, if you know any kids, boys, girls, doesn't matter, high school, college, or what was the other thing? Fantasy camp, guys.
Fantasy camp,
if you got a husband that plays in the fantasy camp, you know, it would be a good Christmas present, birthday present, anniversary present.
I taught my grandma to shoot 75% from the free throw line. She had rheumatoid arthritis in both hands.
Can Carolyn hit 75 right now?
No, she can't. She wouldn't try. Because my grandma set such a high standard, my mom wouldn't. She didn't want to.
Did you challenge her?
That, no.
No, did Grandma say, "Come on, you want some of this"?
Grandma's a trash talker. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. We're back tomorrow to do it again on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Dylan Sin in the morning. I know Rick Bozich. He can't be with us tomorrow, so.
Dylan Sin was at the game tonight, so that was some good insight.
Oh, well, good for him. Yeah, we'll be perfect. What, did you see him?
It's on Twitter.
Oh.
We're Twitter buddies.
Look at you. Look at you,
X, buddy.
Mr. Technology,
That's
man. Again, thanks everybody so much. Of course, coming to you live from Hoosier Hanks East here on College Mall Road in Bloomington. Don't forget to make sure you stop by, say hello to the guys, Benny and the Jets, get the Jimbo special, or we're going to come up with one for the Todd Father. Yeah, there you go. We got to come up with the Todd Father, but it cannot be just pepperoni and sausage.
It is.
That's just too plain, man. Got to have something with a great name like
you know
the
what?
Todd
We'll call it the motion offense. We'll call it the motion offense because it's just old school, plain Jane.
There you go. I can't.
What are you gonna say?
Who might argue with that? Who might argue with that? No way.
That's my answer to everything.
Big thanks to Todd Leary, as always, for being the man.
Thanks for the comments, Mom.
And big thanks to each and every one of you guys. Without you, we have no reason to be here. Thanks to Hoosier Hanks. And, of course, to myjumpshot.com. Don't forget to check that out. We've got plenty more coming up on Indiana Sports Beat Radio this week. Make sure you tune in. And if you've subscribed, you won't have to worry about it. But that's going to wrap it up for us here tonight from Hoosier Hanks East. And until the next time, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.